hella. I don't know.
Androgynous.
I think it's, yeah, expansive. It's a nice queer word.
My favorite queer word is homo. I don't know if that's like a problematic thing to say, but I use it like in a positive way, in a reclaimed way.
Probably tortillera, which is like a term in Mexico and Latin America to identify somebody who's a dyke or a lesbian. The tortillera.
I kind of find it problematic to like label certain words queer, but a word that is sometimes associated with people who are queer that I like is sparkle.
I identify as a queer Latina Cal bandsman.
I identify as queer, trans, an activist, compassionate.
I identify as queer, genderqueer, transgender, white, person living with chronic pain. Yeah, to start with.
I identify as a progressive Greek woman and woman with a Y.
I identify as trans instance and also genderqueer.
So I identify as Chinese American, Asian American, queer, trans, faculty member at UC Berkeley.
I identify as queer, as male, as yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that.
I identify as a queer Chicana nerd artesana. When I'm on campus, I identify as staff. Yeah, and usually one of my most like identifying things is like I'm a person from the desert, so I feel like that's really different from folks that are up here.
I am a cisgendered straight male.
I identify as a Joto, which means queer Latino, and I identify as being poor and a person who loves dogs.
I define queer as the freedom to be anything, I guess. Like, it is the opposite of being forced into little tiny boxes.
I define queer as someone who doesn't conform to mainstream expectations of gender or sexuality and or is actively trying to disrupt them.
Queerness sort of introduces a richness into the mix rather than something that isn't something else.
I don't necessarily want to use a term that is part of the heteronormative, homonormative, heterosexist society or framework established by society.
Queer takes on a lot of different meanings, so it can be, you know, in terms of sexuality, encompasses, you know, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, pansexual, all of those different sexualities and identities outside of and that are targeted by heterosexism.
And it's about like possibility, and it's about self-determination.
That's not really tied to sexual orientation. Anyone can be queer.
I describe my gender as being a cisgendered male.
What people see me as and what I think I am. So I think it's really like people see me in a certain way, but a lot of what I feel like I am is all in my head, and people don't really get a chance to see that.
Yeah, it's just always in shifting mode.
My gender, I identify as genderqueer and as trans in broad terms.
Sexual orientation is to gender presentation as two facets of the same diamond are related to one another. They both help create sort of the whole diamond, but it's only in, you know, common effort with the dozens of other facets of the diamond that actually create the whole brilliant and sparkling jewel.
I would say that it's like basketball and soccer. The two, they're both sports. They're related in some aspect, but they're not dependent upon each other. And basketball does not affect soccer in any way. And you know, they're part of like the same realm. They're part of the same kind of issue topic, but they're not affected by each other. They're not dependent upon each other.
It's like peanut butter and jelly. Like they can go really well together, but they're completely different things and are really good on their own and like can be all kinds of different awesome things on their own that have nothing to do with each other. But if you want to put them together, there's some like great and tasty combinations you can have.
I don't see those things as being related. I feel like there's so much variation in gender presentation and so much variation in sexual orientation that it's really hard to just match them up.
I love being an out staff person on campus and helping contribute to a visible queer and trans presence on campus. I think it's really beneficial for those who are looking for community and haven't found it yet, or just being able to see yourself reflected in those around you.
Campus actually is not, I think it's good. I like being out on campus. I love being open with who I am. There's definitely work to be done on campus in terms of inclusivity and making students feel more comfortable on this campus, but coming from a very conservative hometown where it's not okay to be out and where it's not okay, to hold my partner's hand out in public, being able to come to Berkeley and do that is a really wonderful thing.
I mean, I think I came from Santa Barbara, where I was the only trans person I knew, and when I came to UC Berkeley, I met a couple of other trans people, and that was really important to me. It was one of the reasons why I came here.
I don't really think about it that much because I'm not really like having sex on Sproul or anything, so I don't really feel like it's an issue, but yeah, it's fine.
I find queer community, my job is to find queer community and to help build queer community.
I find queer community everywhere. I find queer community in obviously my fraternity. I'm an SEO. I find queer community even, in the ASUC, serving as a senator. I find queer community, in literally almost every space on this campus that I'm involved in. Even at work, I work at the Calling Center. Just really, like everywhere that you look, you find queer community.
I find queer community in really surprising places. I feel like queer community sometimes finds me.
Queer community in yourself.
There's so many allies and so many just people who are aware of issues that I don't really feel like it's a danger to be queer on campus or to find community because it's everywhere.
I think an ally does a lot of different things in a lot of different circumstances. For me, one of the most important things that an ally does is stands up for queer folks when whether queer people are there or not. Stands up against homophobia, against sexism, against racism.
I would say that an ally, comes into a space that they're not part of, that they don't identify with, but that, they ask questions, they learn, they support, and that they're humble, and that they're understanding of the fact that people in that space might be critical of them, but they're okay with that, and they're still willing to step into that space and learn.
An ally is there in solidarity and stands with us on a lot of issues, so even though they might not fall under the oppression that we feel, they are standing there with us.
An ally drives their own learning process, engages with those around them. An ally interrogates their own privileges, and comes up with their own sort of definition and understanding of what it means for them to be an ally and how does that play out in their lives and according to their strengths and interests and experiences.